Let's take a look at some charts on Cardano ADA from this week's article on Brave New Coin. So the time has finally come, the table is set, the guests are here, the Shelley hard fork happened, and ADA is attempting for the first time in 5 years to become a decentralized chain. Truly a sight to behold. I was unable to really dig into the breadth of the nodes and the users on Shelley at the moment. I think it's between 300 and 500 nodes, depending on the websites I was looking at. I wasn't sure if it was the stake pool and the incentivized testnet or if it was Shelley Genesis stuff. It may have populated by now, but it just happened a couple days ago, July 29th. Really the next big date is the incentivized testnet rewards being unlocked, because there's a decent percentage of supply that will be essentially dumped on the market, I'm guessing, like, yes, it can be rolled into future staking rewards, but if it was me, I mean, it's not me because I don't own any ADA currently, but if it was me and ADA is up the percentage that it's up over the past few weeks, and I'm getting all this free money all of a sudden, a windfall, if you will, I would sell it. So it'll be interesting to see the market reaction on August 3rd. I'd expect price to decline. Really, I don't think things will stabilize until past August, like Q4 this year, because then you'll have community members who want to stake long term. You'll have a success or failure of the early Genesis nodes for Shelley. Hopefully ideally some stuff goes wrong and then it's fixed. That's always the best case. You don't want perpetual 0-day exploits to exist. So if stuff's going to go wrong, it's always better that it goes wrong immediately, where, you don't want it happening months and months with nobody's knowledge. And again, IOHK, or whatever the name of the entity was at that time, I think it was still IOHK, raised a ton of money between 2015 and 2017. And they're just now beginning to finally move along with their roadmap. I am not one to judge on the speed at which promises of investments are kept, but 5 years is a long time for a proof of stake chain to develop, in my opinion. If we compared ADA to a bunch of the other staking coins, ADA leads in market cap. It leads in daily transaction volume by several multiples right now, mainly because of all of the churn related to staking. It's kind of woken up a lot of dormant coin. So my guess is the total daily transaction volume will decline at least in half over time, because most of that coin isn't going to be moved just every day. You're not going to move the entire chain to a staking network every week, right? So I just left it off the graph, but it's way, if it was on here, it would be like 80% of the total. Fees are still in the higher end for ADA, which I think is bullish. Honestly, it just says there's demand for on-chain real estate transactions. It's quite low compared to the rest. Active addresses, it's quite low compared to the rest. And people are going to argue with me in the comments of this video like they did last time. But if you look at the git commits on the main repos, I know ADA is a different animal compared to most of these other coins. It's funny, you look at Bitcoin's repos, there's like 2 that are active, 4 total. If you look at most of these other coins, there's like 300 repos. There's websites on there. There's like manuals on there. There's all sorts of crap that's not specific to the code of the coin, which is all I really care about as a trader. Even Lisk is questionable. Some of this stuff is questionable. Okay, I'll give you that. I'm not a coder. I'm a trader. And all I care about is what's happening to the code right now or the next couple iterations of the code. So you can certainly say that ADA has a bajillion thousand commits compared to everybody else, and then you're supposed to hold it to a higher standard or something. I don't know. But what I'm looking at just isn't there. There are other chains with more commits on the specific repos I'm looking at. That's just me. I'm just one guy, right? If we look at transactions per day and mean transaction size, both have increased since January. Mean transaction size has increased since May pretty significantly here. Again, I think this is related to the staking stuff and just general on-chain churn. I expect this to stabilize over the next couple of months. Transactions are up basically to an all-time high or near an all-time high. It's not unusual that you see a similar transaction profile to the previous time when tokens were distributed. Tokens essentially being rolled over to the new network this go round, similar to being distributed in the first go round. So it's going to take a couple weeks or months to figure out how bullish this really is. My guess is with staking and with exchanges likely enabling staking, that transactions per day, the profile will look a lot like Tezos in that it's just a continual rise up with small blips representing the staking pool payouts, that sort of thing. If you look at Cardano's NVT, which is an inverse measure of economic utility and active address count, active addresses are at an all-time high. Again, all this is related to the proof of stake swap changeover, in my opinion. It'll take some time to figure out how bullish this really is. NVT continues to drop. Again, if we're seeing all this on-chain activity pick up, this mean transaction size activity, that's going to affect things like NVT, and it's going to continue to decline in like a punctuated equilibrium, in that there's a specific event at this time that's happening that's causing NVT to decline that didn't happen before. So the question is, in a vacuum, it's obviously bullish, but in reality, how bullish is that going to be for the token? Despite the token rise, you can say this, it's up to 300%, whatever it is, and NVT continues to drop. So that says that the market cap is not adequately priced for the on-chain activity. And I think this is going to take some time to come to an equilibrium after the staking is full bore. If you look at Google Trends, they're surprisingly bullish since April. Continue to be bullish. There's a lot of press around ADA right now. They're kind of doing the first thing they've done in 5 years. People are going to argue with me about that in the comments as well, but really all this was just a testnet, centralized testnet for the main show, which is right now what's happening. The Shelley nodes, the actual staking, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of hype around this right now, and even if we look at just the past 2 years, it's definitely at a multi-month, multi-year high for interest in searches. If you look at some technicals here, volume, BPVR, yearly pivots, 50, 200 EMA, and RSI. Clearly we're above most of the accumulation volume from the past couple of years here, which is bullish. It's kind of this insane hyper parabola, straight up, no chaser here. It's had a few periods of accumulation, which is always good to see. You can call them markup periods, whatever you want to call them, but they're bullish. We're seeing this on BTC and ETH now as well. Typically what you'll see is shorter and shorter accumulation periods until a blow off top and then a heavy decline. We're starting to see bearish divergences on volume and RSI here, which says there's a weakening bullish momentum. Price is getting further and further away from the 200 EMA, which also says be careful being long up here, just as it said be careful being short down here, because it's so far away from the mean. So either we'll have to chill out sideways or price will come down to meet the EMA. There's plenty of support around 10 cents basically. Psychological level, VPVR, all that looks good for a buy zone. It's hard to really say how much more upside this gets. Again, that August 3rd date is what I'd be watching if I was actively trading this, just because of all the coin being unlocked during that time. So it wouldn't be unusual to see this like spike down below 10 and then post August 18th, like return to rising above 14, 15 cents again. Looking at the daily cloud, it's also super bullish. It got you in March. Got you in March on this bullish TK cross with price above cloud, Kuma breakout, and it's just been straight up since then. This is just a really textbook, exactly what you want to see cloud, in that the TK lines are close together, and when they're far apart, price goes sideways to catch up, and it just keeps going. Similar to bearish divergences on our volume and on RSI, you want to look for this TK spread. When the TK spread is great, is vast, you expect reversals. But right now, this still looks good. The most concerning thing from the bullish side is just the parabolic nature, straight up, 45-degree angle. So trend metrics, love it here. On Cardano BTC, you can see it tapped the yearly pivot. There was a bit of a TKC clamp here. TK lines are pretty far apart. It's very far apart from the 200 EMA here. Bit of a volume and RSI divergence before this decided to croak a little bit. Plenty of support around 1100 sats. And there's the Kijun, there's VPVR, there's the yearly pivot, there's the 200. So there's lots of downside support here. I wouldn't expect it to break 1000 sats really anytime soon. If it does, it'll probably need an extended period of consolidation. But the upsides our yearly pivot again at 1500, 1850, whatever this was, this local high here, and then kind of 2000, 2500. So overall, lots of upward lift in the token, and rightfully so. Proof of stake will keep tokens off the order book and make the upside easier. I would just watch for the August 3rd date, see what happens. I'd be all hands on deck when those coins get unlocked from the incentivized testnet.